Right. How are we doing, everyone? This is episode 2 of Diet and Nutrition, the fight before the fight. And today I've got Emile. I can't pronounce the surname, mate. I even though we just said it, I still can't pronounce it. So I'll let you introduce yourself with your
Emile
surname.
Vujakovic.
So, Emile, introduce yourself. Who do you fight for? What's your gym? What's your record? What's going on?
So, yes, I'm Emile Vujakovic. I fight on FCC at the minute, and I fight out of ASW. My gym is ASW. I'm 3-0 professional fighter. So, been working with the main man for a bit now. Happy days.
So the first question I have, like I said to Brendan the other day, it's like it's all professional. I write out some questions. I did send them over to you. So the first one is, how did you get into the sport of MMA, and what specifically drew you to the sport?
So I got into it by accident, really, without telling a long story. Basically, my mum and dad have fought before in Thai boxing. They both competed in Thai boxing before, so I understand it. I've been surrounded by it. I've seen it for a long time as I was younger, so I was involved in it anyway. And then, but I was more into football and what have you, and the gym and stuff as I got older. And you realise you're not going to make it as a footballer. I just got into the gym, just keeping fit, doing the odd little bit of running and that. And then I was trying to lose weight for a holiday. Went to a guy's gym that had just set up. He was like a friend of a friend. He set up a gym called Monkey MMA. If anyone's from Manchester, they'll know it as proper gym. And I just went to a class there, basically, just to lose a bit of weight, do a bit of cardio. And the class was like a martial arts class. That's what I was interested in. I wasn't really interested in doing anything else, as in cardio-wise. And then I just got into it like that, pretty much. Just lost a bit of weight because I was into the gym big. I was like 108 kilos or something like that. Just lifting weights, just eating, just like enjoying life. I wasn't training for anything. I was just lifting weights. I'm a big guy anyway.
Just eating all the foods.
Yeah, does it, mate? I used to, not even in a bad way, like as in because I was craving it, but I used to eat McDonald's a lot and things just to get calories in, because at the time I was just like on that Arnold Schwarzenegger, like just looking at, because obviously everyone wants to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, don't they? Do you know what I mean? When you're lifting weights,
everyone just on the
that's
bulk.
what you're looking at, and you're looking at people. I used to watch like Pumping Iron and all that stuff, and I was just eating just to get it in, but it's too hard to eat that much clean food. I wanted to be big, and then once I wanted to trim up a little bit, my mindset changed, and I decided that I enjoyed fighting anyway. I've always liked to have a bit of a go on the pads and what have you, and yeah, just got into it by accident. Just became all right at it. The coach.
When was your first fight?
My first fight was 2018. First fight was first time
6 years.
Yeah. First time I fought 2008. So in reality, I'm a baby, really. Like, I've not done some of the kids that I'm coming up against or in the changing rooms with who are fighting on the same shows as me. They've been doing it since they were 10, and they're like, around my age. I've not been doing it that long, but I suppose I've come into it. I've not come into it from zero. I've come into it from playing football at an okay level, keeping fit. I've hit pads throughout the years because my mum and dad have done it. So I wasn't coming from zero, you know what I mean? But a fighting experience I had none, really. So yeah.
So and then the next one is obviously I'd like you to share the unique health journey that you've been on, and how that's impacted your overall view of what health really is, because you had a bit of a tough time at one stage, didn't you?
Yeah, so I've always kept myself in shape, whether it be whatever I'm aiming for, whether it was like weights or whatever type of fitness pathway I was taking. I've always done it how I should do it, if that makes sense. I've always hit it full on, and then obviously things just come along the way. Through doing MMA, I've had various injuries, shoulder operations, knee operations, and then obviously I had a little short battle with cancer, which is what this is. Yeah, can you see?
Yeah, you just see it. Yeah, just that little scar.
Yeah. So that basically, I had a swollen saliva gland. I feel like I'm doing the weather report now because it's on the opposite side because of the camera. So I'm like this way and this way. But yeah, so I had a swollen saliva gland, and it was basically just growing and growing here. Like it started off like if I was here now, you won't be able to see it, but then it got to the point where it was like coming out. And you know what? Shout out. So basically, I used to spar obviously in training and whatever, and people used to see it. And I remember I was doing a bit of sparring with Kane. Shout out Kane Musso. He might not even remember this, but it's him that sticks with me. And he said, "Bro, what's going on?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "What's going on?" I said, "Nah, nothing. It's just like a cyst or something." He was like, "Nah, that's got bigger since I don't want to punch you." I don't know if he might not even remember that, but that's it sticks with me. That I said, I don't want to punch you, bro. I'm not comfortable with that. So that's when I thought I need to get this looked at, because I know that sounds stupid. I should have got it looked at anyway from a health perspective, but I just thought people don't want to spar with me now, so I need to get it sorted out. So I had it checked, and then obviously that thing just that path just carried on, and then they figured out it was cancer, and I had to have a bit of treatment and what have you. But yeah, they took it out. So it's all right now. So basically what they did was they took muscle out of my neck here to put it in here. Otherwise, there'd be a big hole there.
Wow.
That's why you can see there's a bit of a difference here and here. Can you see?
Oh, yeah, you can, can't you?
Yeah, because this basically, they took it out, took a lot out and took that from there. So that's why I've worked on my neck a lot, basically. Because obviously they just said like there's loads of complications with it. You know, you won't be able to things like chewing and stuff they were saying, and they was like, you definitely won't be able to take a punch again. And I was like, all right, okay, nice one.
Doctors do that sometimes, don't they? You're never going to walk again.
Yeah, of course. He was like, yeah, that's it. But like, you know, you can't fight again. That's it, by the way. So I was thinking, whoa, that's a bit heavy. Don't know about that.
How was that on the old, like the mental side of things? How far were you into the old MMA before that happened?
Well, I was still an amateur fighter. I was still amateur. I think I've had since. Well, I actually fought with it. So I fought a guy called Jordan O'Neill. Shout out Jordan. He's on Cage Warriors now. Good guy. I like him a lot. We fought amateur on FCC, and we both fought each other on like a week's notice because we both had pullouts. And I had it then, mate. Yeah, and I didn't know what it was at the time, but I knew it weren't right. And I fought with that, and then that was in the February. That was just before lockdown. So Feb 2020, and then lockdown was March 2021. And then I ended up getting it checked around that time because people didn't want to train, and there was like nothing going on. You know what I mean? I couldn't train. The world shut down. I didn't know what. So I just thought, if I'm gonna get this looked at, I might as well get it looked at now.
I'm not busy anymore.
I know that sounds ridiculous, but that is exactly what it was like. I thought, well, might as well. Better time than any to sort it out.
The world's not doing anything, so I just go get my health.
I had my knee done at the same time as well in lockdown. I thought, right, I need a knee operation because my knee kept coming out. So I was like, I'm just going to get that operated on as well. So I know I basically made COVID work for me, but yeah. So I ended up having like 3 amateur fights after that. I think 3 or 4 after the neck operation. But it was tough, mate. Yeah, it was tough. I always wanted to be a professional athlete. Like even when I was like doing bodybuilding, and when I say bodybuilding, I just mean just going to the gym with my friends. Don't mean competing or anything. But obviously, you know, as a young kid, you want to be a footballer or whatever you do. But round my areas, you want to be a footballer. And then I just wanted to be a professional in something. That's like my passion. So then when I thought that was taken away from me, that was just like tough. It was tough. A lot of time to think about on your own. A lot of time driving, or when you go sleep at night, you wake up in the morning. Any alone time, it's just on your mind all the time, and it's like it's been took off you. And I wasn't ready for it to be taken off me, so I just thought I'm just going to do it anyway. See what happens.
Yeah, well, it's going well so far, isn't it? So
going okay, mate. Yeah, I mean, I've took some damn hard shots since I've had all the treatment and the operation, and I've been all right. So yeah. I think I'm fine, to be
doctors
fair.
They don't always get it right.
No, they don't. They don't.
How would you best describe your fighting style?
My coach would rather answer that one, to be fair.
Okay, then let's say, what would your coach say that your fighting style is?
He'd probably just shout at me for not. He just say I don't listen to him, but I like to say I'm explosive, and I like to say that I look for the finish from the start of the fight. and I like to inflict damage. I don't know if that's a style. Don't know if you'd get that'd pop up on a game maybe if you chose me as a character, but yeah, I like to inflict damage basically, hurt the guy as much as I can, get him out of there. But my coach would say he would want me to be an all-rounder. He want me to be a fighter who's got a good fight IQ, who can assess a situation and assess a fight accordingly and take it from there, really, because no fight's the same. But I like to look for the finish, so sorry, Daz.
Right. So, like this is kind of works in with that, because obviously you're talking about your fighting style with your coach. Now, can you share your training schedule and structure with the MMA community? Because it's slightly different to the way most people would train in their gyms, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah. So basically, we've had a conversation about this many times. We train in the morning as a team ASW in the Death Barn. Only a small select few of us, and then basically whoever's fighting. So at the minute, Mick Stanton, my teammate, he's fighting in April, the 20th of April. So it's all about him at the minute. He's well in with the grind. We're just there to just make it horrible for him, basically. Do as Darren will tell us what he wants us to do, and we'll just do it to him, put him through the grinder, basically. But you kind of don't know what you're going to get sometimes, because sometimes you'll go in and he'll want a certain session, a certain specific session, and sometimes the session will change within that session, if that makes sense. So if I get in and he's planned something and I'm just way off pace, way off I'm not doing what he wants me to do, it's just not clicking, he might slow it down and show me what the crack is, why I'm not getting it. And then, that might take 30 minutes. And then that's the session we've not really got the cardio that we wanted to get. But then I'll do that in the evening. So I try and do basically one hard one every day, if that makes sense. One grueling one every day, but train twice a day. So if I'll do a slow, you've told me like before, do a slow one in the evening. If you feel a bit fatigued in the morning, do a slow one in the evening. If it's not been too hard in the morning, then you can push it in the PM session. So yeah, it's just basically, you never know what you're going to get basically in the morning with the lads. It just totally depends. It depends on who you're fighting as well. It depends on the circumstance of the fight. I just took a fight on 2 weeks' notice, but we had the date there circling. We just couldn't get an opponent. So didn't really know what it was going to be. We didn't really know if it was definitely that date because we were struggling for opponents. So I wasn't really subject to a horrible fight camp. It was more like a week. Took the fight on 2 weeks' notice. So really, you can argue 10 days of training. So I had the worst week of my life, probably. But yeah, so it is difficult. We've had this chat many times, haven't we, where you'll say, what's your session in the morning? I'm like, I'm not sure.
Yeah. How many carbs do you reckon you're going to need for tomorrow? I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow.
Yeah, no. I could do the bleep test. I could be doing pads. I could be wrestling. I could be doing a bit of fight.
It's so hard to prepare for.
Yeah.
But we get it. We get it done. We find a way.
It's just an anxiety builder. That's what it is.
And why does he do it that way? Say it again. Why does he do it that way?
Anxiety builder. So he won't mind me saying that we train at his house basically, and when you ring him to open the gate, just think, I don't know, the lads might be different, but I just think, oh shit, what is today gonna be? What is it gonna be today? But I don't know if he might want me to feel like that, he might not, but it builds anxiety, and straight away you're burning calories, you're burning energy. And that's kind of what it's like in the changing room when you're hitting pads. Yeah, you feel good, you feel sharp, but you think, stepping into the unknown a little bit now. What's going to happen? Is he going to fly it? Is this going to happen? You're thinking about a million things, but you're trying to focus on what you need to do. That's kind of what his sessions are like. You don't know what's coming. You don't know until 1 o'clock finish hits and it's the end of the session. You think it could be anything. He could tell me to be doing horrible stuff on the bike because he's got cardio equipment there. It could be something with the lads. You don't know. He could bring someone in for you and not tell you. Sometimes he'll drop you a text and say, bring some oxygen tomorrow, mate. You're going to need it. You think, oh God, what is it? All night you're thinking, oh no, what is it going to be? So yeah, he's just.
There's not many people who train like that.
No, it's no, and I truly believe that is the difference between winning and losing. Like I'll come up, no doubt. I'm going to have some tough fights in the future. I'm going to have some fights where, losses or grind over fights, and I hope that training pays off. Like I can think of a fight I had, one of my last amateur fights, and I believe that me and the kid, were at similar level at the time, but I just think that I shone in that last round because of the type of training that I do. I don't think you could split us more in talent or skill, but I just think it was the grind that got me through that, and that's the difference between winning and losing at the end of the day.
Yeah, as they say in football, grind out the result.
In it, that's it. That is it.
Yeah. We may have some technical issues because I didn't charge the camera. But the next one then. Right, where were we? Nutrition trends. This is one of obviously my favourite. The nutrition trends come and go. I think the biggest one that hasn't gone yet, and it'd be a while before it goes, is the phrase clean eating. Hopefully at some stage people will start using the word balance instead of clean. But anyway, regardless of that, what dietary strategies have you found the most effective for optimizing your performance and your recovery? You know, what's those strategies, what you use to really get the most out of your training and recovery?
Well, going back to what you said about balance and clean eating, I wouldn't even say balance. What I would say is it's a tool. Do you know what I mean? Nutrition's a tool. Maybe for me more so than the average Joe, but like I would argue I don't really have a balanced diet because of how many carbohydrates I consume. Sometimes a certain type of carbohydrate I consume, I wouldn't give it to a client. I'm a PT by trade, so that's my day to day. And they probably look at my diet.
Giving this example of how many carbohydrates you consume then during camp and then off camp.
Well, about 450 a day, 450 grams of carbs a day. And that I'll lose weight on that. But obviously that's an accumulation of calories in total. So say I'm having 3,500 calories a day, 450 grams of that is carbohydrate, which people might think is a lot, but for me goes nowhere. Like goes nowhere. That I could easily eat more than that. Sometimes I still feel that fatigue of training and what have you. So but I suppose for me it's not balanced because I'm not an average Joe kind of guy. So
well, what about it within the industry? What strategies have you know, not just we're talking about balanced diets, but obviously for an athlete in MMA, what strategies would you share with other people to say, this is what I do, what works for me, it might work for you?
Yeah, well, obviously since we've been working together, I've completely changed, and I always tell people, like, since I know what I'm talking about to an extent. I've done a sports science degree, which comes with a lot of modules, including nutrition. I've worked at rugby clubs. I've worked places. I'm not daft with what I'm fueling myself up with, and I was still getting it wrong because it's hard to do it for yourself, if you know what I mean. I still needed you to kind of push me in the right direction, just okay certain things, tell me that's right, that's wrong, whatever. But my strategies, I would say, because I'm greedy. So if you're greedy like me and you're watching this video, volume eat. Yeah. So I volume eat, which basically means I eat foods that give me the most space on a plate, if you want to explain it like that, for the less calories. So a full bag of lettuce, what is like 50 calories. Was having a conversation with the lads yesterday. I've got them all eating gherkins when they're on a diet because it's like 100 calories a jar. So you can eat a full jar of gherkins, just water pretty much, and a few carbs. So if you're one of them when you get in at night and you want to watch the TV and you want to pick at something, just eat a jar of gherkins, mate. If you like that type of food. Most people won't like that.
That could be the new thing. That could be the new thing that everyone's just going to be jumping on eating gherkins now.
I do it with tomatoes as well, like punnets of tomatoes, 300 grams or whatever you have from it's still like 100 calories. It's nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
Low calorie, high.
People say to me, they go, I don't know how you eat that. I always say, well, you've not dieted hard enough then, have you? Because I cannot wait to get on the couch and click that little glass jar of gherkins over and start munching. I crave it. So
that's the thing is, what other techniques, obviously, so food volume, what else?
Food volume. And also for me, I know this might not be the same for everyone, especially if you only train once a day and you're just doing weight training or the odd walk or run or getting your steps in. But
what about MMA?
Yeah, timing for me, carbohydrate timing. So if I find, which is again going back to the thing we were speaking about the sessions in the morning, I always start my day with the same meal. Same amount of carbohydrate. It's usually protein oats, so decent form of carbohydrate. That is like my pre-session scran basically, and then straight away as soon as I get out, I make sure I've got stuff in the car to eat, fruit and what have you. My little thing is like raisins and stuff. They're dead easy to digest because I need to train again in like 4 or 5 hours. I don't want to be too full. I don't want to be too lethargic. I don't want to feel sluggish. So I need them carbs in ASAP. But I don't want then
simple carbohydrates.
Yeah, simple carbs, and that's probably the only meal that I don't want to be extra large, because if I do that, if I was to get out of training and eat like 400 grams of white potato, I don't think I'd feel like heavy because it's a lot of food.
Yeah.
But to have like 100 grams of raisins, it's like that, bang, gone.
Yeah.
It's like 70 grams of carbs in the bank straight away. So
I think that's the thing is in what I've noticed in the sport, because of the term like clean eating, post exercise, you want to, like you said, you've only got 4 or 5 hours before you're going again. And you need to restore all those carbs that you've just burnt out. So
100%. I could have Haribo. Could have a bag of Haribo. Have flat raisins.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that's the thing is, athletes feel like if they have that, they're not eating clean, technically.
Yeah.
So then they're not, professional. But actually, in reality, is you're eating those for a purpose. You're optimizing your performance because they're going to absorb very quickly, give you your carbohydrates back, your glycogen back, ready to go again.
That's it. It's eating with purpose. That is the way. Yes, if you get rid of clean eating and you eat for purpose, pretty much. So
I think what's the one eating like optimized eating or something like that. And there's got to be a phrase that I'm going to coin. Like we can come up with.
Dan the Wizard.
Yeah.
Like today, so on a Wednesday, I don't train in the evening because I've just got a full diary of work. I don't have that hour gap that I usually keep. So like after my session this morning, I've not smashed the carbs in. I've ate enough, but I've not like had to eat loads of simple carbohydrates because I don't need to train tonight. So that my day's a little bit different. Depends if I'm doing a double session or like on a Friday night, I'll carb up because it's just we spar on a Saturday. We make it like we mimic the fight on a Saturday. So I treat that like I would be fighting on the Saturday. So I'll carb up Friday night. I'll get an extra meal because we don't train till a bit later on the Saturday. I'll get one extra meal in before the session. So it's those little things that make a difference. Like we've spoke about this. I said to you one day that I used to train to lose weight and now I eat to perform. That's the biggest difference in my life, to be honest, because that was the case. I used to train to lose weight. I think, right, how much weight have I got to get rid of in 6 weeks? Whereas now I'm thinking, how much training do I need to do in 6 weeks?
Yeah. So you're focusing more. It's not a fat camp.
Pretty much.
As they call it. Yeah. That's the thing is the understanding the misconception of also how much you need to diet down, because you get some people, they say, they could fight at a certain weight class and they feel they've got a diet very close to that. I've got to do this 10 kilos in 7 weeks or something, where you forget that a majority of that you're going to actually dehydrate anyway. And then the other one is everyone always does their diets to weigh in, where actually you want to be at fight week, you need to be at a certain weight before fight week. So it's just I think optimizing your nutrition around your schedule, again loading up on carbs and managing those carbohydrates, because the intensity.
Don't be scared of them. Don't be scared of them. Like I've spoke, teammates over the years, even some of the lads at ASW, sometimes like they'll be too heavy, they'll sacrifice carbohydrate because that is initially, I understand why when they carb up, they put weight on the scale, so they think, oh no, like I'm too heavy, I need to cut the carbs. Oh yes, I've lost a couple of K buzzing, but they're sacrificing the wrong macronutrient. Like that's what you need to get the best out of your session. So, and it's hard to tell that to somebody because they're scared of change, and they won't listen to me because say like one of my teammates, I'm like the baby of the camp really. So they've like been pros for years. They've got a lot of fights under the belt. That's a lot of experience, a lot of dieting a lot of fight camps, so they might think they know more than me, and some aspects they will because they've been there and done it, and I've not. But sometimes you can't change science, can't you? So sometimes I just want to say, like, you should have had carbs last night. That's why you feel like shit today. But they've not, and they think, oh, I'm knackered. I'm like, yeah, because you've had like 4 pork sausages before your session. You know what I mean? Or some eggs.
What would be your 3 top tips then for dieting down? Like, where do you start? What weight do you start? You fluctuate at? Really start at your camp, and what was it? 92 you get to?
Yeah, I'm big for the weight. To be fair, I walk around at 98 kg, like if I'm not tracking, if I'm just like living my life. I don't eat unhealthy anyway. I eat quite nutrient dense foods just because I like that type of food, but I do then like to indulge. And if I'm just blagging it, if I'm just like guesstimating, I'll be about 98 kg. If I'm tracking calories, I can get down to like 96, and then I'll usually cut my weight down to be like 92 6 days out from the weigh-in, and then I'll make 84.
So what's your top tips then for getting that weight down? What would you recommend other athletes do?
Well, first of all, there'll be loads of stuff on Instagram. People will disagree with me, but you need to start tracking calories, because if you don't know what's going in and you don't know what's going out, then you're just blagging it. But yeah, you need to track your calories. You also need to get an understanding of what foods work for you and what don't. So everyone's different. Certain foods might agree with you and not. So it's all like trial and error. There is a trial and error aspect to it. But I would say track your weight. Weigh yourself. I personally weigh myself twice a week. I don't do it every day, but then once I get like 2 weeks out from weighing, I'll weigh myself every single day then. But I know I've done it enough times now. I know where my body's at, how I feel. But I would say definitely manage your food to your preferences. So if you work late, if you work early, however, you just need to make sure you're fueled up for your sessions. The better your sessions are, the more calories you should be burning in them sessions, because the more output you feel like you can do. And as long as you've started healthy, as long as you started at a good checkpoint, then it should all just fall into place. I mean, it's hard if you're talking to like a pro, they'll know what I'm talking about. If you're talking to a novice amateur, then they won't have a clue what I'm saying here. But as long as you're sticking to your guidelines and you're tracking your progress through your week through camp, you shouldn't get it too wrong.
I think what you said there about calories, I would agree definitely. Like understanding, your resting metabolic rate, just your baseline calories just to live, and also maybe even your maintenance calories, and then I would also go one further and say your energy expenditure. So understanding on certain days, like Wednesday, you're only doing one session, so you're not really burning as many calories today. Exactly. So you're not going to need to eat as many calories. So it's understanding certain sessions you're going to burn more, and how do you manage that? And then like you said, tracking as well. So yeah,
if I'm speaking to a guy who's had one amateur fight, he might not have a clue what he's expending. But he's gone black there. Have you turned the lights off? Oh,
right. Well, if that's better, then that's good then.
Yeah, that it started off. I know this is on record. You can just get rid of it, but it started off really grainy and then it smoothed itself. But yeah, so what I was saying was, if an amateur won't really know what his expenditure is, and his sessions will all be different because he doesn't have a clue what he's doing. But anyone that's my level and above, they'll know what a hard session feels like when they've expended more calories. They'll know what the day-to-day regime needs to be like. So it is a case of like timing, meal timing, tracking calories, and then just understanding what your output is. So I know, if I need to be, if I'm like 94 kg, I know what my calories need to be every day to then hit 93. And then I know what they need to be then to hit 92. Because obviously the lighter I get, the less food I need. But then obviously if my training steps up, then they'll need more food. So it's just understanding your needs as an athlete that you are. What type of style are you as well? Are you a pressure fighter? Do you coast through fights? Everyone's different, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think I think not this fight, the previous fight. I think when you did a full camp, you didn't know what that final week was, did you? Like that of training. So we just gave you, stick to the 3,000 calories. I remember, and it was like literally the week before the fight, and that was carbs as well.
Yeah, because I was doing different. I had 5 different opponents in 10 days, so it was like, right, you've got a wrestler. So I was working on things, and the sessions were a lot more slowed down. They weren't as hectic, they weren't as chaotic. They were more like, right, this is what we're working on. And then the guy changed, and he was like this Anderson Silva style fighter, so we had to change that. So, but because I'm already fit, I wasn't too worried about that. I didn't need to. I thought, well, my cardio's decent. So yeah, we just brought the calories down a little bit, because I just wasn't burning as many calories in the session, because it was like I might be stood about for 10 minutes listening and watching something and then replicating it, and that's why it's difficult though, doing this job.
Because it's a constant balance. Where do you think, in terms of nutrition, then, where do you think other fighters do get it wrong?
The first thing that comes to mind is the carbs thing, mate. People are scared of carbohydrate, but 65% of my diet is carbohydrate, really. And I think that just makes you a better athlete and performer. Like, that fight week when you're manipulating your water and you're getting rid of carbs and you go keto for the week. Oh my God, it's so difficult. Like you feel like you've got no fuel in your body, and you've got no drive. You've not got that. I explain it like NOS in a car. When you ever watch Need for Speed or whatever it's called, Fast and the Furious, and they have that NOS injection. That's what I feel like when I'm on carbohydrate. When I'm not, I feel like I can't. I'm just like chugging along the road. So for people who don't carb up properly before the sessions and stuff, I don't know how they do it. That is probably the main thing.
Yeah. I would agree. It's you got to have those carbs. They've got to be high at 100%. The start of camp. Carb up really high at the start of camp and smash your cardio, because those carbs are only going to come down and you're not going to have them later on. So it's going to be harder to do that intense activity on less calories and less carbs.
That stuck with me, what you said. Basically, just get fit early. Get fit. I mean, I'm always fit anyway. I'm not fighting now, but my teammate's fighting, so I've got to be in for him. And then after Mick's fought, Lee will be fighting, so we're in for him. And then it's my turn again. So
if you've got 8 weeks, I would say just literally eat carbs and just go like mental on your cardio. Just
100%. That's the difference.
And then start. You could literally diet down, bring those calories down 3 weeks out, 2 weeks out, and the weight will fly off.
Yeah.
What is the main goals for 2024 in MMA?
Oh, mate, well, I'm hoping I can get out 3 more times. You never know what the fight's going to bring. It could break something. I could, suffer a defeat or whatever. But if I can, I'm scheduled to fight on FCC. The shows are June, September, and November. If I can be involved in every single one of them, fingers crossed, everything goes to plan, and I will be 6-0 by the end of the year. And then that opens up a different kettle. Like, you know what I mean? That's like different kettle of fish, then, isn't it? Really, it's the big prime time. All the big boys then, because you kind of
there is a new
for anything then. If you know what I mean.
Prime time organization now, isn't there, in Europe?
Yeah.
So
yeah, indeed, yeah. So I think if you hold like a 6-0 record, unless I don't know, your opponent's been cannon fodder, I suppose, but if you're an exciting fighter and you hold a good record, I think you're open up to any show then, I suppose. But yeah, fingers crossed. I've got to get there first. I got asked in an interview the other day about UFC and PFL and all this, and I was like, listen, I'm fighting a guy from Brazil on Saturday. I've got to get past this guy first, because if I'm stood here talking about the UFC and then this guy puts me away, that's pretty embarrassing. Like, so I've got to get past the guy in June, then get past the guy in September, and get past the guy in November or December, whenever the show is, and then we talk about that. But it's you just don't want to get too ahead of yourself, do you? Because you could be 6-0 guy, big show, or you could be the guy who got beat and everyone's forgot about you. So that's the name of the game.
Right. So as this is labeled the fight before the fight, weight cutting. So How was your first ever weight cut, and what did you learn from it?
Not great, which isn't surprising. But as I got
Why
older,
wasn't it not? Why wasn't it not great?
it was just tough. If you've never done a weight cut before and you are gonna do one because you're a fighter or whatever, be prepared. It is you can't be prepared actually. You just have to do it. It's disgusting because your body's basically shutting down in it. Your body's dying. It ain't great. It's not. You couldn't. I don't know how some of these fighters do it as a backup and then don't even fight. Like I do it, and I'm thinking I have no choice. If I don't do it, I ain't fighting. So I couldn't just do it off the cuff. If you just said to me, right, in 3 weeks, you got to make 84k, I'd be like, are you stupid? That's never going to happen because I'd give up. But when you're fighting, the mindset's different. There's more depending on it, all your hard work and determination. And you're just thinking about the guy you're about to fight, and you get through it. But my first weight cut wasn't great. It was tough, but I was a smaller middleweight then. I've always fought at middleweight, and I was younger. And, I've become a man now through that since I've started MMA, and I was like a 92 kilo middleweight. So obviously, when I dieted for a bit, I was like sub 90k. So then I'm nearly there, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Whereas now to get to 92k, I have to really, really focus in and dial in. So even looking back, I think, oh mate, you had it easy, but obviously I didn't have the knowledge I have now. And it was tough. And even like the recovery, like the rehydration, my coach at the time, he didn't know. He'd had many, many pro fights, and he'd obviously done it. This is what he was telling me, and he'd just done it off. I don't know how he felt. And I remember eating a cheesecake. I ate a sleeve of Jaffa cakes. As soon as I stepped on the scale straight away. Boom, we got off waiting for my opponent to get on. I had a sleeve of Jaffa cakes and I had a cheesecake out of like a little tub, like a little what you buy from a shop, in a little plastic tub. Straight away. And I couldn't eat.
Simple carbs, but a lot of fat.
No fluid though. No fluid. So I couldn't digest it. So because I was starving. So then I had my drink after that. And then I remember I couldn't eat. And I woke up in I weighed myself in the morning. I was sub 86k. I was like 85.7 and I weighed in at 84. This was the morning of the fight. I remember thinking, I've put no weight back on. But I had a bad stomach all day. I was on the toilet. And then I gassed in the fight. The guy was better than me anyway. I didn't know how to wrestle at the time. I was just spent the whole fight looking at the lights on my back. Lost 3 rounds. But yeah, terrible rehydration.
Does the it play on your mind mentally doing the cut? Are you causing any health issues, or is it gonna, the cut, if it's a bit tough, do you always think, is this gonna screw me over in the fight? Mentally, does that come into your head whilst you're cutting the weight?
Without sounding like, I just kind of block that out. I don't know if that's the right answer. Like, it doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if that's
no right or wrong answer.
No. To answer your question, no. It just no. I've made weight, right? Fight time. I've done the training. So with my first fight, my coach at the time was training for a BAMA world title, 5 rounds against a good guy, and I trained with him. I was at uni at the time, so basically I had nothing to do, and I had all the
time. Promote university. Well, I had nothing to do.
Yeah, mate. If you're at uni, you don't know how good you've got it, because when you start working, you have no time for yourself. So I was training with him every day, doing the same training as him. I was fit, mate, and I gassed through one punch, and I was knackered. And obviously the weight cut didn't help, and the adrenaline and all that. It's your first fight, so you're knackered, you're gassed anyway. You can't replicate it. But I knew I was fit, and I was so tired in that fight. And obviously that was just the weight cut. I was dehydrated. I'd not ate. I must have fought at like sub 90k. Well, definitely did, because I woke up less than 86. There's no way I put 4k on in a day. But yeah, so it doesn't get into it. I've had bad weight cuts. I've had weight cuts that were tough, like especially before I started working with you. My first fight back after a long time off with all this stuff. I got back from Jamaica. I was on a holiday in Jamaica for New Year, and I was speaking to Adam Tay at FCC. Shout out Adam, and he was on about getting me like a nice warm up fight to get back into things. I'd not fought for 2 years. I'd had this. I'd had a knee surgery. So I'd not trained for a long time, to be honest. Like, it was hard. And I said, "Nah, who's the best guy about at the minute?" And one of the amateur fighters, he was like ranked first or second in the UK, guy called Joe Ambler. Fought Joe, and I'm not making excuses. He beat me fair and square, great fight. But I got back from Jamaica on the 10th of January. I weighed myself. I was 105 kg, and I made 83.9 on the 4th of March. That was tough, mate. Like, I was goosed after I made weight. The whole point was just make the weight. Do you know what I mean? And then I was like, shit, I've got a fight tomorrow.
Yeah, well,
but then even then, I was still confident. Even then, mate, I was like, I did care. I just thought, I'm going to get in there, put this guy to sleep, rapid time, and then just enjoy it. And obviously that didn't happen. He knocked me out. But obviously the weight cut didn't help. The weight cut didn't help. But I was nice and big on the day, though. Well, I rehydrated well. At this point, I knew how to rehydrate and stuff, but I think I just cut too much weight too fast. Like, half of my training was just, I was on like 2,000 calories a day. 2 weeks out, I was like 1,700 calories a day just trying to get the weight off. It was probably the hardest camp of my life, that.
Yeah, so that's what, so you make, like, that's, again, it goes back to, if you're not aware of how many calories you need and how many calories you're burning, you massively, in a lot of sport, it's called RED in sport. It's relative energy deficiency. So a lot of athletes are deficient in enough energy to actually facilitate their sport in general. So that's why I'm a big advocate to, like, eat the carbs, and actually, you know, most athletes need to be on 3,000 plus easy a day.
And that goes back to the question you asked me about what's your top 3 tips. You know, I cut 20 kilos in, I don't know, what's the 10th of Jan to the 5th of March?
2 months.
Yeah, less than, no, because February's a short month. And I was just like, just grinding it out, and it wasn't basically what I should have done was, I should have said, yeah, get me a good guy, and I'll do it at a catch weight, like 88 kg or 90 kg.
But these are the mistakes. If you know if your weight's over, you can negotiate a catch weight.
Exactly, and it was amateur. It was an amateur fight. You know what I mean? It was like, he was irrelevant, really. It's just about learning, but me being me was like, I'm the king at 84 kg. Get me the best guy. I'm gonna have 2 years off, no training. Well, not no training, 6 months of training, to be honest. I've been to Jamaica and all inclusive. I'm massive. I'm so heavy, and I thought, I'm gonna show everyone that basically my ego, and my ego got punched right out of me. But that's 3 top tips. Like, you know, I did all the top tips. I was tracking. You know, I was understanding what I needed and when I needed it, but to my borderline level, if you know what I mean, what I was allowed, because I still need to get the weight off. And it didn't work because I shouldn't have done it, because I didn't start at a good weight.
What's the worst, like, stories? Obviously, you said you work with a lot of, you train with some people who've got a lot more experience than yourself. What's some of, like, the worst weight cut stories, or, you know, things that people have done just to lose that weight? Like you said there, you're on like 1,700 calories. You know, what sort of stupid things have you seen, or just funny things or mistakes that you see?
People have probably done worse than me. Like, someone might watch this video and go, 1,700 calories. I've done which, fair enough, but that was hard. That was hard. And I was training for a 5-round fight as well. I know it was amateur, but still. But some of the ones I've seen, I remember training with a guy. This was before I had an amateur fight, and I was training with a guy that my coach brought in, and he was fighting on Bama, which was a show back in the day, and he was way too heavy. He arrived from Switzerland to England, and he was way too heavy. And I might have this wrong. If anyone's watched that was part of the training camp, you can correct me, but I'm sure he was only drinking lemon juice for like 4 days before the weigh-in, and he was every day trying to get the weight off, and we were putting him through it, like sparring, too heavy. The coach at the time had no sympathy for him and probably didn't understand what he actually needed to do. And we just was battering him, basically. I was getting told to, like, put it on him, wrestle him, pick him up, slam him down, all this. And the guy was allowed lemon juice. That's it. Literally, like, 500 ml of lemon juice a day. That's all he was. And I don't know why. That's kind of, fully understand, like, and that's kind of what got fed back to me from other teammates, because I was a novice at the time. Didn't know how to do anything really, but I was feeding back from the other teammates, training partners who were there, and they were saying like, he's only allowed this and he's only allowed that, and I'm thinking that is god awful. And then anyway, he got choked out in like 30 seconds in the fight. Off a guy called Terry.
He got tortured for a week, and then he got put out.
Nuts. So that's pretty bad. And then another one I see all the time is the one that sticks into my mind is Darren Till. I remember seeing a weight cut of him. You know that, I don't know if you see the one when he went blind and all that. And the guy's
the Liverpool one.
Smacking pads though, and I don't understand. Everyone's different. I try and move as less as possible when I'm cutting weight. I try and don't do any movement, because I don't need to get any fitter. I just need to sweat. So why would I go for people do it, but why would I go running? Why would I be hitting pads? Why would I be wrestling? I just don't get that. Everyone's different. Someone might do that. I see people in the UFC doing it, and they obviously know more than I know, but when I seen that video of him smacking pads and everyone's clapping him in the gym, I remember thinking, why has no one took charge of this situation and said, mate, what are you doing? Just lie down.
Get in a bath.
Just lie down. Yeah.
Get wrapped up.
Why are you fatiguing yourself? Like, your muscles have got no salt or carbohydrate.
I like the there's many ways to skin a cat. All you're trying to do is, warm your body up to create a sweat. Yeah. There's many ways to create a sweat. And if you're hitting pads, you're already low on calories, low on carbs, low on sodium, potassium. You're just, more likely to cramp up and cause an injury.
100%.
So
I don't know why is he not got somebody like you though to say that? I don't understand. That's what I think.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just that's how it was. Like, I actually was that weekend. I was at UFC Liverpool that weekend. He did miss it. I can't remember how much, but lots of negotiations were going down about that at the time.
Stephen Thompson,
Thompson, yeah.
And he still got through it though, didn't
he? Yeah, he still got through it. There's obviously there was lots of back and forth with the money side of things, and making sure he has to be he can't blow back up as too much. He had to restrict how much he could then. How heavy he could be afterwards.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Because it is an advantage. But yeah,
too much.
I think even now, I think he's in phenomenal shape now, and he's out boxing, and I'm just like, he's clinical anyway, and like he had a massive run in the UFC. Wait until he comes back. Like, don't write him off yet. No, a lot of people try to write him off,
but he was doing so much stuff wrong. Regarding his training, regarding his weight management and stuff. Like, imagine if he was doing it properly.
That's what I mean. Like,
could be champion.
I think when he comes back, I think people are gonna he's gonna. Yeah, I just got a good feeling that when he comes back, it's going to be a different level.
I hope so. I don't know the guy, but I root for him, if you know what I mean. So
yeah. Right. Where am I on my questions? Right. So we know you love your food. Okay. So what's your go-to post-fight meal?
So it's not something that I have when I'm like overindulging and I'm not in camp for some reason. But when I'm fighting, all I want is pizza. So weird. So I have pizza after the fight. But if I'm just like coasting now, like I am, I'm not fighting till June. I'm eating relatively well. I wouldn't get a pizza really. It's just not like something that I would crave. But yeah, for some reason, fight week, and I think, I cannot wait for that. Maybe it's because it's kind of got everything. If you know what I mean.
It's got the carbs, it's got the fat.
It's salty, it's carby, it's all the good fats, and because obviously I eat quite a low fat diet leading up to a fight. So, yeah, pizza, mate. Yeah, weird, like pizza. A proper horrible one, like with everything on it.
We spoke about this before about, afterwards, obviously during the camp, you do, like a lot of fighters, they restrict loads, and they purposely go out and purchase. You used to do this as well, am I right? Pick out exactly what you're going to purchase for after your fight.
Don't do this no more. Wow, different person now.
And what would you when you fight and then you'd eat afterwards, what sort of weight would you put back on?
Oh, mate, I'm a big guy, like I said, anyway, for the weight. Not like a fucking Tom Aspinall or something, but I can easily be 100 kilos, easily, and that might not sound like a lot to people, but you know, that's not where I want to be for the type of
If
style fighter.
if you've dieted down to 92 and then 2 weeks later you're 100 kilos.
Yeah, and I mean easy. I mean easy 100 kilos. Like I could be more
Yeah.
if I wanted to be. If I wanted to indulge that a little bit more, because I got this thing with me. I don't get full, and I don't know if that's like I wish that wasn't the case, but I think there's something wrong with me. I have to say stop now. Stop. That's enough. Like stop eating, and I just don't feel full ever. I reckon I could do food challenges and stuff, me, if I really tried, if I've trained to do it, because I can do it when I shrink my stomach down in camp, and then I'll go and eat like I don't know 4 Domino's pizzas and still not be full. I swear
That's
to
mental.
God. Swear to God. If my girl, if me, oh, our fiance now, nearly I got told off for that. She'd tell you if she was there. She'd be like, yeah, 100%. Like it knocks her sick sometimes. You know, if we go out for food, like it puts her off sometimes.
Just keep going. The bill gets bigger.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is it's a big thing as well, isn't it? Like, you know, just it is like the reward for all the hard work, the fight, and then you obviously get that and you're restricting. But you know, I believe the clean eating has this, you know, ample effect on that, because you're so restrictive of, you know, the things like a bit of chocolate, some, like you said, jelly babies, and you know, those little extra things which actually you do crave. But people perceive that if you have it, you're not eating clean, you're not a professional. But then, you know, it builds up and builds up, and then you have that time when you just then like, oh, I'm definitely getting this, I'm definitely getting that, because you're restricted for so long.
Yeah.
Like
you end up eating it just because like you feel like you owed it. I deserve it. Even though I don't want it now, I deserve that. Like, remember that day when you were dying for it and you'd done anything for it, so you best eat it. That's kind of what it's like. Might not be there tomorrow as well. Like, I'd buy something just because it might not be there tomorrow. You're in a supermarket, it's going to be there every day. Why are you buying it?
It's a craving, not a hunger. Hunger is a physiological feeling.
So don't do that
craving.
anymore. But as you know, I used to have, like, I'd do it the day before. I don't know if you've ever seen Dodgeball when White Goodman, Ben Stiller's like putting that pizza down his pants and he's got that donut and that or whatever it is, and he's shocking himself. That's kind of what I do. So on the Thursday when I'm you know not eating or drinking anything and my cravings are at the highest, I'll go shopping and I'll go and buy all the stuff that I want, all that I think I want. Remember one time I came home with like 15 packets of super noodles. I don't even eat them. But for some reason, when I was on the aisle that day, I was like, yes. Like, I must have created a meal in my head or something. Like, I was going to put it on a sandwich or something. And I came home and I remember, like, Demi was looking at me like, what? Why have you bought all them? I was like, I don't know. I can't wait to eat them. And I never even ate them after the fight. But I'd have, like, other things, chocolates, cakes, loads of stuff. And then I'd just be getting through it throughout the week. I remember once I ate 10 chocolate bars back to back once. 10 different
10
ones.
chocolate bars.
Well, no, but that's not healthy. That, do you know what I mean? But I don't do that anymore. But before working with you, I used to do that because I'd be like, just get it all in today, and then you don't have it tomorrow. But then tomorrow would come, and then I'd be like, oh, I've still got stuff left, and then I'd have to book a fight to stop doing that, to go right, because for some reason, as soon as I book that fight and I know it's on, boom, and it just goes, it disappears. I still get hungry, still get cravings, but I can tell myself no. But if I didn't have a fight, I would be out of control. And I'm different now because obviously we've worked on, you know, I don't start my camps too heavy now. So the deficit doesn't have to be as low. So then you don't feel the effects of fatigue and cravings as much. So you only have to deal with it for a couple of weeks before the fight. And then it's minor. So it's
not 7-8 weeks of
exactly.
craving.
And that doesn't sound like a lot, but if you've ever dieted, like the difference is 2 weeks of dieting and 8 weeks of dieting is completely different. Hard dieting as well, with hard training, not just lifting weights and getting 15K steps in. Like, that's easy. You know what I mean?
So what I was going to say, well, how do you manage then, obviously, this pressure of actually making the weight, both physically, obviously you kind of talked about it physically, but the mental side of it, obviously, you know, if you don't make weight, you lose in most organizations like 30% of your purse.
Yeah, or you might not fight, the opponent might not take it. That's worst case.
So how do you deal with that? Like, because obviously in the past you said you've like cooked yourself to death almost to get to the weight.
Yeah.
How has that had an impact on you mentally, and how do you manage it?
Well, I'm quite proud to say that I've done some hard weight cuts and I've never missed weight, so I'm doing okay at it. But I don't think that goes down as managing it right. But every camp, I do stress about my weight, and my missus will laugh because me and my mate Mick, my teammate Mick, like when I'm in camp, I'll message him like, "Mate, I've not lost any weight this week. Oh my god!" Da, da, da. And then he'll be giving me, mate, don't worry about it. It's fine. You do this every time. And then when it's his turn in camp, he'll be doing the same to me. Because when you're in it, you stress about it. When you're talking to someone, you think, listen, you're doing all the right things. You keep training, keep dieting. It's a process. You can't change science. Like if you're in a deficit, the weight will eventually come off. But when it's you, I remember for my first pro fight, I don't know what was going on with my body, but I didn't lose weight for 3 weeks. I was 95 kg for 3 weeks, and it's never been that long. And I remember saying to my clients in the gym, using myself as an example, saying, "Do you know when you complain about not losing weight and you give up? 3 weeks, I've not changed weight.
I remember that.
I'm going to stick to the plan, and I'm going to stick to what I know." And then it came off. I lost like 2 kilos in a week, and then the other kilo came off. But it did get to me a little bit because obviously you think, oh my God, like I'm actually working really hard at this and I'm knackered and I'm hungry and I still need to take more calories off because the weight's not coming off. But it does work. So it is stressful. Can't lie. It's super stressful. You wake up thinking about it. Every time you go to bed, you think, I hope I'm this in the morning. I hope I step on and I see this number. And then if you don't, it ruins your day. Like you're an audible.
So a lot of anxiety.
Loads. Full of it. Every night you think, oh God. And then you start timing it. When did I eat? Did I eat at 10 p.m.? I get in late, so I have my tea late at night. Or dinner, you'll call it. And I'll be like, oh, I've ate too late, so I'm not weighing myself in the morning because the food weight will still be there. And it's a mind game.
So do you think there should be more support for new fighters coming into the sport to educate them more about nutrition?
100%. 100%. People are still so naive to, like you said, clean eating, and people think you have to eat super clean. And we've discussed that it's optimizing your eating and it's not about like just clean eating. But then at the same time, some people don't even know what clean eating is, and they don't even understand what they need to be eating. Or it's just, and there's so much stuff going on Instagram now about like this Eddie Abu talking about just eat eggs all day.
Don't start with Eddie Abu.
Hey, I know, out Eddie, you nutcase. And then it's like over.
Brendan brought it up. Everyone brings him up, like
because he's the flagship for it in a minute. He's a nutter. And then you've got this guy that keeps popping up on my Instagram, probably because I keep talking about him. My phone's listening, which is another subject. But this guy just eats dragon fruit all day. This guy who just eats fruit all day, and he looks a mess. And he doesn't eat anything else but fruit. Doesn't eat veg. Doesn't eat meat. Doesn't eat anything else, literally, but dragon fruit and watermelon. So people are following his diet. And then you've got some other guy who's like eating God knows what, like a carnivore diet. And I see him like, he'll do like, here's a carnivore style pizza. And here's carnivore bacon and chip butty or something. It was a carnivore style. He made something meaty look like chips on bread. And I'm just thinking like, what are you telling these people? People don't have a clue. So I will look at that and go, bullshit. But average Joe might look at that and go, oh, right. So he's got so many health benefits. Right, I'll do that then. It's nuts, mate. People don't, and that's not even got into MMA fighters, but MMA fighters, when you're cutting weight and you're pushing your body hard and you're dehydrating yourself, and some of these kids don't have a clue what's going on. And I think that boils down to the coaches, because no disrespect to my first coach when I got into it, but even though he was in shape and he made weight for fights, he didn't have an idea about nutrition. I knew more about nutrition than he did from doing my degree at uni, but I didn't want to second guess him because he was an OG of the game and I was a baby. So I'm not going to start telling him do X, Y, Z when he's had like 30 pro fights or something. Like, who am I to tell him anything? So, But then he was relaying what he knew onto me. And I was, even though I knew that it was wrong, I was still doing it, what he told me to
I know
do. So
it is a thing, like research that show, like, you know, like whoever the coach is, you know, whatever their experience is, gets passed on. So it has a big impact.
It's so important. Someone like you, if the funding might not be there or the reach might not be there, I don't know. But if I had somebody like you when I had my first amateur fight, not saying my career, I don't regret anything, but my career could have been completely different because my performances in fights, and not just in fights, but all the training I've done, I could be a completely different person right now. And I did have an eating disorder. Probably still got one. I don't know if you ever get rid of it, but if I had someone like you on hand all the time, I'd have been a completely different person. I'm telling you, that's a fact.
Yeah, well, what you just touched upon there is the eating disorder. Like, that's something I'm really, you know, looking into now, because kids are athletes getting younger and younger.
Yeah. And they're doing the same strategies that older guys are doing.
So I spoke yesterday to Paul Reed, and he's the chief, you know, nutritionist for EIMMA. I can never get that out very well. Yeah, and so yeah, like it's you know, it's actually what you find is what we're looking at is that in MMA, it's like an massive underlining thing that's happening, like, you know, in terms of, you know, dysfunctional eating and you know, body dysmorphia, you know, and binge eating, you know, so it's a big thing, and it's not really spoken about, but it's, you know, where's the safeguarding for the younger generation?
Exactly. I don't know Paul Reed, but I know obviously who he is, and I know one of his main athletes is Paddy Pimblett.
Yeah,
and he's the guy. He's the binge eater. At the, he looks like he's changed his ways a little bit now, but he took it seriously. But he was the guy, you know. He kind of got a bit famous on Instagram for doing all these binge eating things, and he'd go from this weight to this weight. And
it was good. I think that was very good promotion at the time to play on that.
Yeah, of course it was, but still, like, that was Paul's main guy.
That doesn't help the younger. It doesn't help the younger fighters, does it? So no. But
I was the same, mate. People in my gym know who see me every day. I don't really post that much on social media about it, but my day-to-day clientele, all the members of they know what I was like, and they can see the difference in me anyway. You know, just like in my face and my physique and stuff. I was never like out of shape, like flabby, but you could see the difference in me between 100 kilos and 93. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you can see a difference in that sort of 7 kilo weight loss.
Yeah,
but it's it's something that I'm just picking up on, and we got like going to be working on something with Paul to, you know, get something out there, because I'm speaking with a dietitian who specializes in eating disorders and dysfunctional eating, and get some signposting going, so that, and education for coaches, because I feel if coaches can help to, you know, recognize certain traits that athletes may have, and then they've got somewhere they can signpost them, not just like to your GP, because you ain't going to get an appointment for about 12 years. So so there needs to be that sort of, you know, structure, I think, you know, as a safeguarding thing.
I think you personally, I think, like, you deserve a bit of recognition for the work that you do and the help that you do. But more importantly, I think that, like you just said, safeguarding and making sure people aren't making bad mistakes with their life and their health. Because before you even get onto, like, you know, the dehydration aspect and you could die from weight cutting wrong, it does breed an eating disorder, and that's something that people could never shake off in the whole life. Like, you look at
yeah, exactly.
Fighters, even retired sportsmen, and you look at them now and they look a mess because what they've done with the career, they've created an eating disorder, and then once you've left that sport, no one cares. See ya.
Yeah.
So you're on the side of the road now.
The thing is, not everyone who's training are going to be pro, but they could just be training because they like it. You know, compete very little, but they still take up these practices, and it only takes something little to then create these habits. You know, and like you said, the anxiety of making weight doesn't help. So yeah, it's mental.
It's such an anxious time, because even like myself, I know. Sorry, I've just got to charge my laptop. Sorry, guys. I apologise. You can cut this bit out now. If it goes
I don't edit it. I just let it run, mate.
Oh, bollocks.
We're almost done now anyway, because I gotta get going. I gotta go to the doctor's surgery.
Yeah, true. But yeah, I know how much like I know about nutrition. I don't know a lot, as in compared to you, but the average Joe, you know, I'm educated in it, and I still get anxious about it. And my thing, I'm so routine based. Everything I do in a weight cut, and when I say weight cut, I mean like 6 weeks from the fight, because that to me is the weight cut, not just the dehydration bit. I'm so routine based. Everything has to go right, and I've planned it to perfection. And it still stresses me out, even though I know every time it goes to plan, but I still get stressed. So for someone who's just blagging it, it ain't right. You're going to mess it up. You're going to be unwell. You're going to be unhealthy. You're going to get it wrong. You're going to do something drastic to make the weight. It's not good. So people do need people like you.
I think there just needs to be something concrete. Something even with like some basic education for free through Safe MMA or something that. Something that has to, so at least you got some idea of what you're doing in terms of carbs, fats, and how to create an energy deficit.
I think you said to me when they sign up to Safe MMA or whatever, something you said they should have to do a quick questionnaire or some sort of quick exam where it's just like a drop down menu, click the answer. You know, do you know what this is? Do you know what a carb is? Do you know what your macros are? Do you know what? And then that's a survey done straight away, and then you've got an idea. Right, well, that fighter has no idea what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. And then you can go, right, actually, this person needs some help. Let's signpost him.
Yeah, yeah. I think it would be great because that's doesn't take much manpower, and it'll take the client or whatever, the fighter, like 5 minutes. Rather than,
but it's also if you think about it, if you think you've got a 17-year-old who's been training, now he's cutting weight in his parents' bathroom, don't know what he's doing, it goes, but it could go really bad or just goes bad. You know, passes out or whatever, ends up in hospital. Who their parents looking at? Well, they're going to be looking at the coaches and the gyms.
Yeah.
And they're going to be looking at the promotion as well. So it protects everyone really. Emile, I have to go. It's 3:30, but thank you very much for enlightening us about your experience.
Like 5 hours, me and you.
Yeah, just shit, really.
I know, yeah. Right, I'm gonna go and get some Krispy Kremes if you don't mind.
Carb it up, mate. Actually, you can't carb up today. You don't even know what you're doing tomorrow.
2 sessions tomorrow.
All right, buddy. See you in a bit.
Bye, mate. Bye.